welcome back to our conversation about software appliances. I want to get a feel for pent-up demand out there. Is there pent-up demand for these appliances, or are these ISVs sort of trying to create demand?
Well, I have to say, I don't think there's pent-up demand for software appliances. In that term, there's pent-up demand for solutions. Mm-hmm. And to the extent that a solution can solve a problem and solve it effectively and cost effectively and give customers a good experience, that's a solution that's going to get some attention. So from my point of view, it's more about having the right solution for problems that customers have. And I think you also have to think about this in the context of the fact that we're climbing out of what was probably the worst downturn that most present-day IT managers are ever going to go through. They're coming out of it with a different set of expectations, and their horizons, frankly, are different. Whereas they were looking at a kind of, just they were on this trajectory 18 months or 24 months ago. That trajectory has been disrupted, and suddenly they're starting to look at a landscape which is different, a budget that's different, a staff that's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the friction that went on in that environment was that it was maybe for many years it was just to keep paying your maintenance fees on your existing implementations, and so you had a budget that was this big, but it was all going to maintenance fees to larger organizations. A lot of people got laid off. A lot of people said we got to use different technologies, and the leap to the enterprise is not a light switch; it's a dimmer switch. You can come in and you can implement an appliance, maybe with a long-term stair step to the cloud. But you're able to implement that technology, maybe in a division, maybe in a couple divisions, while you dimmer switch out the larger enterprise company that you've been fighting with, frankly, at maintenance renewal time.
Mm-hmm. I think some of those demand is actually coming from people getting used to buying hardware appliances. So same IT managers are now like, I don't want to buy a physical machine. I want to just get a virtual machine, and that translates into a virtual appliance.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at it from the perspective of an ISV who's got an application, and they're being asked to come in with a solution at a lower price point. One of the things that the software appliance allows them to do is to substitute very, very capable open source infrastructure for the proprietary software that was taking 40% of the customer's budget away, and also introducing a competitor to the table, because increasingly the infrastructure providers have become competitors to the ISVs. So that ability to take cost out and provide a faster solution from the ISV perspective is tremendous in this new environment, because it is a very new environment.
So if we were to fast forward a year or two, how does this story begin to play out? You had mentioned cloud. Mm-hmm. Is this a natural progression to cloud opportunities?
Yeah, because you don't have to make an investment again, right? So you can build this up because you're insecure about the cloud. You've got security, concerns. You've got no experience. You don't know that you really want to move it up there. You got to convince IT management and everything else. But you can build this Novell appliance right now with the idea that a year from now, and we'll be sitting at this table a year from now, talking about how the cloud has suddenly become in demand, because I didn't create the demand that I'm getting. I mean, I'd love to say that it was because I did this and I did that. It was a combination of the vision of Novell, the combination of putting an appliance out there, and there was pent-up demand because of the economic changes. The next pent-up demand is going to be, I want to move my appliance to the cloud. It's not a reinvestment.
It's not. I don't want to oversimplify it, but is it as simple as drag and drop from on-premise to cloud?
It's drag and drop.
Well, you have to have a totally consistent and reliable building block before you can start creating hundreds of it, right? So you really have to have this concept of what you called a black box earlier on. And the combination of the software appliance and then the price performance, the flexibility of the open source infrastructure gives you the ability to make a building block that will make economic sense.
I think open source is the key there. Open source makes it more portable. So by having this appliance based on open source infrastructure, open source runs on every cloud.
And it solves a lot of licensing problems. Right?
That too.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about those things.
Yes, so many of the people's
our hassles of putting it all together are not there.
And not only that, but for the users too, because if it's assigned to a machine or assigned to a processor or whatever it's assigned to, and you want to move it from one portion of your infrastructure to an internal cloud, maybe it may be a challenge.
Yeah, the licensing issues are often bigger issues with proprietary software model than there's actual technology. And the last thing that developers want to do is to be hassling with a procurement department, right? They want to be building a cloud and getting it out there, and that's why the open source licensing model works. No license.
Absolutely. So if I'm a viewer and I haven't gotten started yet with software appliances, what are some of the recommended first steps, John?
Well, the first step is to get started. I think there's ample evidence here that these folks are on the frontier of the possibilities here, and to wait will only put you further behind the curve. The good news is this is not a zero-sum game. It's an infinite game available to all. So the first step is if I may, to go to susastudio.com and start downloading, building your first virtual appliance, is these guys have said over and over, it's about speed and simplicity, about giving customers not an operating system. No one's buying an operating system because they want an operating system. They want to solve the problems that Al's talking about. And the Venn diagram they're all wrestling with is, how do you help me reduce my cost, complexity, and risk of doing that? And you got to get started, because this is one way to solve that problem.
Okay. Now, one thing I heard actually it was over at the Groundwork booth here at BrainShare, was you have a marketing manager who built the first appliance in 90 minutes. That sounded too good to be true to me. Is that a typical example? How much expertise is required?
Well, it would take a CMO 3 weeks, but a marketing manager
Depends on the size of the budget.
Yeah. What are you hearing from your ISVs in terms of time to market?
It's about Linux made easy from building that appliance the first time. And what we'll typically see, once you figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish with that first appliance. Am I trying to go down market? Am I trying to offer cloud? What am I trying to do? Once you get that out in the open, then you jump into something like Studio, because you have a real mission in mind, and you can be in there and build an appliance in 60, 90 minutes with no problem. But my first appliance took me 30 minutes. And I'm a marketing guy, so does that count? And then from there, it's about getting that proof of concept in the hand of customers, and you guys can probably all talk to that, and then out from the customer into production, and then to number 2 and to number 3, and expanding the footprint from there.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all very much for sharing your expertise and your early experiences in the appliance market.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks,
Thank you.